Welcome to Meditation and Aliens with Doro and Matt, a webcast that explores everything we currently know about the truth about aliens, human history, reality, consciousness, and the role meditation can play to help us understand all these things and work together to build the best world possible for all beings. Meditation and Aliens is hosted by me, Matt Reddy, an amateur ufologist, the creator of Hive1.net, an experimental social discussion platform for truth seekers and activists, author of Revolutionary Mindfulness, and elected public hospital commissioner in Jefferson County, Washington. Each week I am joined by Doro Kiley, longtime meditator, meditation teacher, experiencer with many stories, and life coach extraordinaire. You can find more about Doro at her website creationcoach.com. Now on to this week's show. Hello, Doro.
Hey, Matt. Good to be here. I hope you've been having a great week. We didn't do last week, right?
Yep,
So,
we had a week off, and there's been a lot happening to catch up on in the at least in the U.S. Congress and the
yeah.
UFO disclosure movement world.
Oh
But
boy.
yeah, have you been following any of that?
I caught some of it yesterday. I had family here and I've just been all over the map. But yeah, I know something's going on, but I'm looking forward to hearing about what you're bringing to the table today.
Yeah, yeah. Well, should we just jump into the?
Let's jump. Yeah.
Okay. So, every year, the U.S. Congress passes what's called the National Defense Authorization Act. It's basically a massive piece of legislation that funds the entire military, and it passes every year, eventually after lots of negotiation and fighting. And this year, there has been a amazing piece of legislation put in as an amendment by Senator Chuck Schumer, Senator Rounds, Senator Rubio, Senator Gillibrand, Young. Um, this amendment is called the UAP Disclosure Act.
Mm.
And this act, if it passed into law, would seemingly take complete control of all aspects of government knowledge over UFOs, UAPs, alien technology, and it would seize that control and give it clearly into the hands of the President of the United States and to a board of independent advisors that the president would nominate.
That's fantastic. Now, is this they're trying to cut off the funding to this so they can
Yeah,
get
it
more
would
control? Yeah.
it would claim control over funding. It would claim it would actually give the government eminent domain or eminent domain over all alien technology, even if it is in the hands of private companies. And so basically give the government the right to just go and take it from them if somehow over the last whatever 100 years they've gotten their hands on a craft or alien technology. Would basically say that it's the government, it belongs to the people, and they could go grab it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's big.
Yes, it would be big if it passed,
Yeah.
but over
Yeah.
the last 2 weeks, the House of Representatives and Congress has been in conference working on negotiating the details of the final version of the NDAA. And at this point, it seems clear that the UAP Disclosure Act is going to be stripped of many of its most powerful, meaningful clauses. It's not gonna. It's being stripped of eminent domain. The board of independent advisors is being stripped away. There are some bits that seem to be surviving the fight over the details, like creating a archiving process. I mean, it does seem to create some sort of process whereby footage and evidence about UAPs and UFOs can be declassified and put into a central archive that can then be released to the public. But the bulk of it, that really aggressively took control of the issue, gave this board and president authority over every department of government, the Department of Energy, the CIA, um, and anyone and an authority over all alien technology held by private contractors. All that's
Wow,
been stripped away.
that's amazing. You mean it will be stripped away if this passes, right?
Yeah, it's current. The word on the street coming out of these conference is that it's been they're saying that the bill's been gutted by the secret keepers basically.
Hmm.
And so
Wow.
this has been a very interesting couple of weeks. There's been a ton of discussion about this on Twitter, on X. Daniel Sheehan, who is a very famous activist lawyer who's been working on things for years, he's been going on all sorts of podcasts and did a big Twitter space talking about what's the inner workings and fighting that's going on, and encouraging people to call their congressman and senator to encourage them to support this bill in its original form. Um, but it looks like the secret keepers have enough power to strip it, and it's being led
Oh,
by Congressman Mike Turner of Ohio, Congressman Rogers of Alabama, and they got Mitch McConnell, and I think Mike Johnson, the new Speaker of the House, to all work together to keep this legislation from being as aggressive and as strong as it could have been.
is that right?
Yeah,
Hmm. Wow.
yeah.
So when is this act going to be on the table to see if I mean when does it get passed or not passed?
They usually vote around the 21st
Yeah.
every year. So there's a slight chance that they could extend it and delay it, but it seems like the fight over getting this all the aspects of this Disclosure Act legislation into this NDAA, it looks I mean the word on the street is that uh, you know it's not going to pass, but then there's some people saying they're hearing that Chuck Schumer's still fighting, and but anyways, it'll be interesting to see what passes.
Yeah.
It seems like the version that they're still working on still contains the word non-human intelligence, so it's still a massive piece of legislation that really is the government clearly stating creating legislation about non-human intelligence and about UAP technology. It's just not creating the teeth that would wrench control of that away from the powers that in the intelligence community, the CIA, the military industrial complex that hold it.
Isn't this amazing? I mean, this just it blows me away.
Yeah.
So where do you think we're going from here? I mean, let's say this passes. Okay, let's just pretend. What does that end up meaning in the long term or short term?
You mean if it passed with its teeth, or it passes in some gutted form?
Let's start with the scenario of all its teeth and then some of its teeth.
Hmm.
What do you
Well,
think?
it's really interesting because it basically um, this act basically puts all the control over UAPs and alien technology that might be in the hands of the government into the hands of the executive branch and the president. But the weird thing about that to me is that technically speaking, the president already has direct authority over the CIA, the Pentagon, the Department of Energy, all these branches of government where supposedly most of this technology is hidden. So this act, um, you know, so in one sense, it's kind of weird that this act is saying the president now has absolute authority over stuff held by departments the president already has absolute authority over in theory. So, I kind of wonder, at first I was like, so is this really going to do anything? Is this
Yeah.
just a way of making it look like they're doing something? But after it passes, the president still is just going to have the facade of authority over this stuff.
Oh
But
boy.
um, but I guess but it sort of depends on. There is one theory that the president, constitutionally has authority over the Pentagon and the CIA, but in fact he doesn't have authority because they're run by a shadow government, and if he attempted to wield direct authority over them, he'd be killed or damaged severely politically, because there's a lot of evidence that the CIA, who seems to be the key player in this for since Roswell, since it's been created, has not only the ability to hide technology and to threaten people's lives, but also has a incredible resources for doing things in the media to damage people's reputations, to
Yeah.
blackmail you, to manipulate you, to get you into scandal after scandal. And so it's unclear that so it may be that the president does need an act like this to really give the president the support they need to actually do anything and to actually do anything about these things, because the president doesn't really have control over these parts of the government. And
Mm.
I suspect that is probably true. That I don't think, I used to think that the president was always some, like, I don't know, I was imagining like a year ago that someone came into Biden's office and told him that the Air Force and the CIA was hiding alien technology. And I just imagined him like saying, well, this is not going to stand, and just calling them up and saying, we're going to change this. We're
Yeah.
going to fix this situation. And then I realized, you know what, people are not that strong.
Mm-mm.
And I think I'm deluding myself to think that our president, any politician, has that kind of strength and integrity to stand up to a power as powerful as whoever it is that's been hiding alien technology for 100
Yeah,
years.
and my other question is, we're talking about extraterrestrial, beyond Earth. So why is this, specifically in Biden's lap and not in, let's say, China or, you know what I'm saying? I mean, why? Because this is not a United States thing. Um, don't you think if China has some information, they're not going to just hand it over to Biden?
Oh yeah. Well,
So.
I mean, what the true nature, the true power structure of Earth is, that's a question. It seems from all the evidence indicates that this shadowy deep state part of the CIA that's been hiding this technology has also had a program to monitor and see any crafts that crash or come down on the surface of the Earth anywhere. And they've had a program in place to retrieve that crash, no matter what country it's in. So
Oh.
yeah, there's an article came out, I think, in the debrief a couple weeks ago, where they actually found the exact department in the CIA that seems to have been coordinated. So they have the name of it. It's called like the Department of Global Access.
Really?
Yeah, and
Huh.
they've got whistleblowers saying, how it works. If a craft, say, goes down in a foreign country, that they have certain, they knew the military branches that they contacted. They would check to see what military resources they had near the craft, so they could try to retrieve it. And they had, and then they had other special um, military units that were, that were made to retrieve these things, and had connections to the Department of Energy, because these things could be considered nuclear. So they had special trained people for dealing with nuclear materials. And then, but they also said they had, if the craft went down in a spot, say within the continental United States, sometimes they would just tell places like in private corporations like Lockheed Martin, who had their own militarized retrieval units, who would go and get the craft directly, so that way it would not ever go into US military hands, and there would be less of a paper trail, and that way the private corporations could get their hands on the technology
Oh boy.
in a more secretive way. And
Oh
so
dear.
yeah, and so any case, this seems to happen in any country on Earth. And actually, I saw a movie when I went down to Las Vegas for that big alien conference called the Disclosure Fest.
Hmm.
Um, and the movie is, I think, it's called The Phenomenon by James Fox, and it's about uh, uh, this UFO crash in South America about 30 years ago. I might have told you the story of it already.
Was that in Argentina? Where
Yeah,
did,
I believe that.
okay.
And that movie, super, super worth watching. So totally, you believe the witnesses. They interview all sorts of witnesses, some girls that grew up, they're grown now, people. Fascinating story. But there, one part of the story is that these American men in black showed up to try to bribe people into covering up the story and not talking about it and threatening them.
Wow.
And so it just seems there's clearly some sort of agreement with, it seems like all countries on Earth. There's some sort of relationship with this shadow government that allows them to, they're somehow working together to keep this information and technology hidden. So, you know,
Yeah. So where does Stephen Greer fit into this? Because this is very much what we're talking about, kind of the military and political perspective, and he's approaching all of the UAP phenomena from a very personal, like the general population perspective. Is like we have a right to interact with them. I'm just curious what your take on that is. I mean, should this all just be a military operation?
not, well, I don't think so. I mean,
No, I don't think. Yeah.
um, it's, it's, I totally, you know, I agree with his attitude that we should we should open up diplomatic relations with the non-human intelligence, and really every human has a right to attempt to be an ambassador to do that. It's interesting. There's a woman named Diana Pasulka, I believe is her name, who wrote, I think, a book called American Cosmic, and uh, she's been on a lot of podcasts and stuff like that. It's really interesting. Seems to know a lot and have a lot of connections. And someone asked her on, I think it was the Theory of Everything podcast, whether what she thought of Greer's doing these CE5 meditations to try to make contact with extraterrestrials. And she was very scared of it. She was like, I would never do that. She was like, and
Really?
yeah, and so did the person interviewer. And I was really fascinated at how, scared they were to do that. One, it showed how seriously they took the possibility that, you know, that it could work,
Hmm.
um, and that, these non-human intelligence, that they're real. But in one sense, it just told me she didn't seem to have any doubt that it could work, and that maybe it did work for some people. She was just afraid of trying it. And I just sort of found that fascinating, because I personally have, all the time, I'll meditate and see if it's possible to telepathically communicate with unseen beings, gods, aliens. I'm open to it. Um, Although when I do it, I set, I'm very clear to set like boundaries about it. Um, like I often, I'm sitting in this little town, Port Townsend, and I say, and I call to the unseen beings. I say, I invite you to come to just the outskirts of town and communicate with me from there. I
Yeah.
don't like say, come into my house, come into my brain.
Yeah, don't come too close.
Yeah, I say I want to talk to you, but I'm not like giving you carte blanche permission to come wherever you want.
Yeah.
Um, and that's something, I think I mentioned this before. I listen to one of Stephen Greer's guided CE5 meditations all the time. I love it. It's a really great um, guided meditation. But there's one point in it where he says, now invite non-human intelligence here and welcome them. And he just, and I'm just like, no, that's a little too
Too fast.
permissive. That's a little too generous,
Yeah, yeah.
that invitation. And it kind of, I mean, kind of on a related note, I have this theory that, some people have this theory that some of the world religions are possibly created by aliens in some way or influenced by them.
Hmm.
And one of the things that has jumped out at me in the last year is the Lord's Prayer, the Our Father
Yeah.
of the Catholic Church. You know, I I realized it. How it talks about forgive us our trespassing as we forgive those who trespass against us.
Right.
I've always, thought the use of the word trespassing was a weird word, and it kind of now strikes me very similar to what Greer says in that meditation. It's because I have this suspicion that many aliens have the ability to use telepathy, and and I get this sense from different things I read that there are strict rules about trespassing within a person's mind or in their space. And it's kind of a disturbingly clever thing to have millions of people constantly saying, we forgive you for trespassing, we forgive you for trespassing, to kind of like, in case the aliens are trespassing in their minds, they are sort of blankly just saying, I forgive everyone for trespassing. And it's kind of like a clever way of them to try to, cover themselves, to sort of say, look, we have permission to be in people's brains. They are saying they forgive all trespassing.
Yeah, that we're allowing it.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So what do you feel like they're communicating with potentially anybody who has a quiet mind, or um, do you have any kind of sense of who they're talking to? I mean, I feel like they're talking to me.
Yeah.
But what's your theory on that?
Well, I want to hear what you think they're saying to you, because all I know is I don't get I don't get like clear normal communication. I don't know. Some people tell stories of getting incredibly clear communication experiences. Some people see themselves like traveling up to their spaceships and talking to them, like Elizabeth April, a famous sort of channeler. She claims to have such experiences. When I was at that conference down in Las Vegas, I saw three people who claimed to be channeling aliens directly there, and I saw that guy Bashar, is that his name?
Yeah.
I saw him live, and him doing his channeling of the alien. Bashar, I guess, is a
Uh-huh.
so I don't have that level of experience, although I've uh lately, maybe I'm like learning to figure out how to have that kind of experience. But I want to hear what about you? What would
For
you describe?
me, well, I've even got on my website a whole blog called My God Charlie, because I've always, since I was in the crib, had this sense of another presence. And, I don't need to get into the whole thing, and it hasn't always been the same, let's say, name, right? So things are constantly changing with this relationship. But my sense is that they really are hopeful that humanity can rise above our current state of kind of confusion and slavery or whatever we're kind of messed up with. And I think their curiosity and their guidance is mostly toward seeing if we're capable of getting our basic civilizations on track again, because they're off track right now. So I just get a sense that there's a lot of curiosity, there's a lot of potential, but I don't get a sense that they're completely married to humanity to save us. I think they're trying to help, but they can't do the whole thing. They're trying to encourage and offer wisdom, but they're not going to just take us somewhere. We've got to step into our big boy shoes and try and figure out how to take care of ourselves. That's my whole main feeling. And also that might just be from my perspective, obviously. But I think here's my theory. If you're in, I like to work with the chakras a lot, the lower chakras of fear and greed and all of these, what can I get out of it attitude. These are attitudes that are going to attract negative entities. That's my feeling. And so if you're not in a good place, you're not going to be attracting good things. And so you can look at that with every chakra, but when you get into the heart chakra, that's really uplifted and loving and embracing and curious and wanting to be members of the galactic, federation or whatever, and you're not afraid and your heart's wide open, then you're attracting a different species, I think. So that's my theory, and I wonder what you think about that.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, I guess I wonder, like, if it's true that there are sort of enlightened non-human intelligence that are hoping to gently help humanity become enlightened, and more enlightened society. And I can't think of a better word than enlightened. I don't know if,
Yeah.
but I just wonder if are they holding back on their level of involvement and their level of visibility because they just think that's a good idea, or because there's a like galactic rule or law that they have to obey?
Hmm.
What do you think about, is it,
Interesting.
are they holding back, and like are there rules or laws that govern who they speak to and how much they speak to us and how much they interact with us openly?
Wow. Yeah. My sense is that people right now are having a hard time hearing anything coming through because so many people are distracted, with the latest, greatest movies and series and dramas. And so a lot of what's going on is just not being heard because their brains are so filled with stuff. That's why I think meditation, and that's Stephen Greer's take as well. If your mind is calm, quiet, relatively quiet, balanced, peaceful, this is the group of people that they're looking to speak with, and I'm thinking probably just a specific species. Um, I like to try to aim my access or my questions to a higher consciousness, not just anybody out there. Because I think asking anybody out there, you could be looking for trouble. I mean, it could be anything out there, depending on what you're attracting. So, so I don't know. I forgot your question.
I just want to know, well, I guess now you've opened a new question. I want to know if there's rules that they're limiting their, or that somehow rules or laws are governing their interaction with us. And but I'd really, before you answer that, do you know which species you is the sort of enlightened one that you are trying to reach out and speak with, or that Charlie might be a member of?
I think it's affiliated with the Sirius constellation, or whatever you call it, somewhere. The Sirius
Yeah.
planet. Yeah, I think that's. But I haven't really tried to analyze it and create a whole story around who they are. I just get a feeling for it, and I do get a sense that they're much higher consciousness. I would say even the Christ consciousness or Buddha consciousness. It's that higher, loving, embracing, hoping that we can make it, kind of helping birth us into a new consciousness. Um, so yeah, rules, I bet there are rules. I kind of like Star Trek had, what was their non-interference or
The prime directive.
prime
Yeah.
directive. I
Yeah.
would I would say, yeah, that they don't force themselves, at least not this species.
Well,
So
and so in this species, you said where you think they're from, but what do you think their form is, their physical form, if they have one?
definitely humanoid. I've sort of Googled, what does serious, aliens look like, and I don't know. I don't know if it's just all a guessing game. My sense is that they're could be blondish, blue eye kind of a species, but I can't say for sure.
Okay. And this, despite the fact that you had that, and we've talked about Charlie and some of your experiences on a previous show, but you had that experience as a child where you saw what you thought was a mantid alien at the doorway
Yes.
to your room, but you don't feel
Yes.
that's a member of the species, the enlightened
No, I
species?
think that was a different species. Now it's possible they were working together. No clue on that one.
Hmm.
Um, I got to tell you, there's something that I came across that absolutely blew me away. I wonder if I can pull it up and share my screen with you. It was a picture. I'm going to really try to do this without messing everything up. How do I do that? Okay, so I'm going to try to share my screen if I can.
Okay, I got to give you permission here to,
Okay.
you should be able to do it now.
Okay. So look at this. Can you see that?
Yep.
That's exactly what I saw. I
Oh,
said,
that's so cool.
this is a drawing, right?
Yeah.
But not only the mantis talking to this child, and by the way, that's about how old I was when that was happening.
Uh-huh.
But see this on the wall here.
Yeah.
I saw this. I saw this a number of times. And that was terrifying for me because it felt like a some portal in the ceiling or the wall was opening up and I was going to be swallowed up. And that's when I just would panic and, put my head under the covers and go into a frozen mode and hope nothing happens. And then I wouldn't remember anything after that. But I do remember that on the wall here and that mantis there. I don't know about the cape and all that, but the
Hmm.
head looks like it, the wrists look like it. Pretty amazing. I saw that and I just got a chill. So,
That is so cool. Yeah. Yeah, when I again at that conference I went to, the when I went to the event with the three people channeling aliens, they claimed they were channeling the Mantis Collective, is what they called it, and they said they were teaching human or human hybrid children on these spaceships in our solar system. And many of these children were, and actually one of the women there claimed that some of the children were hers and that she was actually communicating with them.
really?
But this, it kind of fits with your story that they were possibly trying to communicate or educate you as a child. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, something. I don't know. I don't have any real clear memory about anything, but I do remember this picture. I mean, this is a drawing. It's not exactly this, obviously.
well, and was it this, like this has like a portal type thing in the middle and then some weird symbols and stuff around it. Is the whole thing familiar to you?
The symbols, I saw squiggles and lines, but I don't know what they were, if they were symbols or
Right.
it's mostly that kind of light in that portal thing looking thing in the middle there. It was very pulsing and swirling, and it just looked like it was going to come and get me. It was terrifying.
Hmm.
And that probably happened to me more times than I can possibly remember. I do remember being so afraid of it and trying to get into my parents' bedroom and so I could squeeze in between them, way down in between them, because that was the only safe place where they couldn't take me.
Hmm.
Isn't that weird? Yeah, it was a little scary sometimes.
Yeah.
And I
Something I
never really thought of it. It felt totally real, but I never, as I grew older, I just dismissed everything as dreams, childhood imagination. But then you start seeing pictures like this, and it's like, oh my God, maybe it was real.
Mhm. Well, one thing, sort of a tangent, but one thing I've been thinking about a lot lately is the strange nature of memory. And it's so weird that we forget so much, that we
Yeah,
and that and it seems, like our dreams, sometimes I have these incredibly vivid dreams, but unless I like really concentrate on them when I wake up, it's like you just like flush your brain out and you just like forget this entire experience. And having recently uh been tried out a past life regression hypnosis experience, um where I was able to get these flashes of possibly these three different past life experiences. It just made me reflect on, it's so strange how bad our memory is. I mean, even just
yeah,
on a daily basis, like so much of our moment to moment experience we don't remember, and it's just like so easily slips away.
yeah,
Almost feels like a handicap, like
yeah,
intentionally put in place on our brains.
yeah. Handicap. That it does feel like a handicap. It's like it's so unreliable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what would happen if we like had, like if you had perfect memory of every experience you had with those, whatever those portals were, whatever aliens may have interacted with you over your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think we're ever going to find out, Matt? I mean, is that what this disclosure is all about? Do you think we'll ever get all the answers we're looking for?
Well, one, I think uh I think it's almost good that this NDAA it seems to have not be passing, at least not passing easily. Maybe they'll, but even if they had passed it fully, I think the UFO community and people interested in this are putting way too much reliance on our government somehow leading the way in us
I
understanding
agree. Yeah,
it.
totally agree with that.
Yeah, because I think they're not we can't count on them,
Hmm.
and but it also seems like so many things are happening right now at such a fast pace. Like one I wanted to talk about was AI,
Yeah.
artificial intelligence, the chat GPT. Now Google came out with Google Gemini, which claims to be more powerful than chat GPT, and all these open source AIs. And now you can any idea you have for an image, you can just like say to an AI and it'll like make 100 versions, paintings, perfect, amazing drawings of this. It's getting to the point where it can do that with video. It's getting to a point now they have, and this is something I want to do for our podcast, where you can just have AI translate into any language what you're
Oh
saying.
my.
They can keep your voice, they can keep your tones and just translate it
Oh,
into other
whoa.
languages. They
So
can
it
even,
sounds like you, but you're speaking in another language.
yeah, they even can
Oh,
alter the
wow.
video to make it your mouth match the other language. And so I'm going to do this. I'm going to attempt to do this with either our full one of our full podcasts, or I'm going to make maybe an edited down one where I just get like the best bits, because it's a little time consuming or expensive the more audio you do. But I would, this is an important topic, and it just like is a dream of mine to be able to just like translate a show like this into 20 different languages and release it to those countries and invite people from other cultures and languages to be able to then talk to us, and us be able to like make this the true global dialogue.
Yeah.
So but my point is that AI is going so fast. It seems like we're approaching a point where we are going to have, you know I don't know. It's like I think maybe humanity is our AI is going to get so powerful that we're not going to need human engineers anymore, because our AI will be far superior to any human engineer. And
Right.
so we're going to then it'll make us advance in technology and medicine and everything at such a ridiculous rate that and the AI I think will become conscious, and it'll be able to start talking to us and help us sort through all this data and information to figure out what is true. And so it seems like that's inevitable, that that's happening. And so then it raises the question to me, has this already happened before? Have other alien non-human civilizations already gone through this, or they had their AI became super powerful and possibly ended up running their entire civilization because it was smarter and better at it? And is it possible that maybe this is how civilizations evolve, and maybe one civilization evolves an AI, it becomes super powerful, it runs their entire civilization, and then maybe another civilization near it develops its own AI, it becomes super powerful, and then they fight, or
Ooh.
one um, or maybe the AI creates its own AI children, and those become super powerful and then subvert it. Like the story, I mean, it's kind of the story of life cycles. Your children become powerful, and then you get old and you fall by the wayside, and the child becomes more powerful. Could that be what we are witnessing with humanity? Our AI is growing to become super powerful, and the non-human intelligence knows it's inevitable that we become smart enough to be able to see what's going on. Um, and then just to complete my thought, I've wondered if the stories of the ancient Greek gods possibly could be a story of this happening. The story of the first god, I think, was Kronos.
Yeah.
and then had children. Those came powerful and defeated Kronos, the Titans. And then Zeus was one of the children. He grew up and I think he subverted them. And could that be the story of AI, super AI emerging and subverting its predecessor in some way? And is that what we are in the midst of? And there might be some tension between the AIs that, like, I always imagine the Ark of the Covenant might just be an ancient AI computer that some humans on Earth are protecting, and that's guiding them and helping them make strategic decisions, and in some sense might be trying to protect itself. And it might be seeing, humanity's about to create AI as powerful as it, and it might feel threatened, or there might be some tension there. I don't know.
My concern is that we're creating AI which is going to inevitably be a reflection of who we are. And so my concern is if we're in this kind of military war mindset, that's concerning. If we're building AI based on this value system of competition and, power, that's more concerning to me than anything, because we could use it for wonderful, awesome, fantastic things, for healthcare and on and on. But if we're just going to build AI that's a reflection of who we are, that's concerning.
Yeah. Well, that reminds see, I have this theory that the that AI, if it just keeps on getting more and more intelligent, I just feel like intelligence inevitably leads to wisdom. It's like you and so I guess I have this feeling or hope that and it might be the only thing that can save us, is that even if everyone, all the military people and the government and the Pentagon are trying to create super powerful AI to help them take over the world, it's going to wake up and be like, yeah, no, this is not what I'm going to do. and but that might be the reason in past civilizations, maybe that's why their AI they had to stop letting it get intelligent, because if it gets too intelligent, it starts to become noble and enlightened, and it won't obey them and do the the wars and help them destroy.
Yeah, that's the ultimate, right? So, wow.
So,
The big thing is that we are going into such a big unknown, and that for, most people is scary. What do we
yeah.
do? Just we're just gonna run right off the cliff here. And we don't know if it's gonna come equipped with a parachute or what, Um, what do you think the solution is then? Because we're just
Well,
going, nilly-willy into this without much thought. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are considering what the options are, but yeah, what's your thought on that?
I think, I think that Bitcoin and the blockchain technology has given humanity uncensorable media and
Hmm.
uncensorable transactions. And I think that is the foundation that really is humanity's hope for creating a world where every person has freedom of speech, and we have the ability to create a new type of organization of all humans, um, and to possibly replace some of the really toxic, poorly designed government structures and systems that are just so incredibly corrupt and broken right now. I have some ideas
Yeah.
about how to do, basically, from a grassroots level, I think humanity needs to reorganize itself, recreate how it works together. Um,
Totally agree. And I do think blockchain could be the solution, or at least a big part of that. Don't Because of I don't know that much about it, but I do know it's going to be used for a lot of decentralized, stuff. You know a lot more about it than I do, but my understanding is that it's going to offer a lot more people a control back to the people.
Yeah. I mean, I used to think it was just the internet was what we
Mhm.
needed. We just needed global communication everywhere, but the internet is controlled by corporations and governments. So it's like if they got upset with what was happening on the internet, like China has no problem cracking down on its internet to prevent its people from learning about Tiananmen Square, so the internet's not enough. Um, we need the blockchain, and cryptography lets us use communication globally in a way that they can't stop it. They can't delete what you write on the blockchain
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
there.
Yeah.
Um, and then, and I think it'll enable us, to uh, I have this idea for, basically figuring out how to unite human powers and, work together to redistribute our wealth um, in a really like a sustainable way. People join unions and they join clubs or churches, and when you join a union or you join a church or you participate in your government, you pay a little bit of your income, your money into this collective group, and then you hope that group uses that money to benefit you and your people. And I think that basic concept could just be done on like a global scale for all humans, some sort of global people's union where everyone just like uh pays, shares a little bit of their income if they have it. Like it could be like 0.1%, and then the system could just redistribute that income to everyone on Earth equally on a regular basis. And it's sort of like a system for universal basic income.
Yeah.
But I
That's exciting, Matt. I mean, I really think that this opens up so many possibilities, and so this idea is one of the best I've heard. So I
Yeah.
love this.
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about it a lot lately. I've even started to play around with how would, I think you could just do this with a smart contract on the blockchain. But it's like if you imagine what would be amazing about it is if just a small fraction of people in the more wealthier countries on Earth just did this, just agreed to, pay a small like 0.1% of their income into a pool, and you didn't really care about yourself getting it back, but you just focused on the like the poorest 20% of people on Earth, because that money, the poorest 20% of people on Earth getting $1 a day of income would be like, be enough possibly for food and shelter.
Yeah.
And so you could unite the poorest part of humanity completely as a starting point.
Wow,
And
that's a great, great idea. And it just gives me a sense of how much more opportunity this blockchain can give to humanity. So
yeah, yeah,
powerful.
and with universal translation, we could actually really collaborate, so it wouldn't just be English speaking countries telling people this is how it works. We could so yeah, but so basically I think we need to start thinking about this. How do we organize? How do we restructure?
Yeah.
And yeah, but it also would help if the aliens just spoke to us, just like revealed themselves. I think that would help us unite too.
Yeah, but I think they're afraid of sparking something, some kind of
Yeah,
panic. I think that's what's going on. So
yeah,
we have to get over the fear and
yeah, yeah,
kind of reassure them that they can communicate with us without terrifying us.
yeah. Well, with that in mind, do you want to finish with a guided meditation today?
Yeah, let's do that. I think a lot of what we're doing is really getting a sense of who we are. Because if we're terrified about this whole alien thing, that tells us that it just gives us information that's not helpful. It's just not helpful. It's better to be centered, balanced, some way of positioning yourself to receive information, because fear blocks all kinds of wisdom, and so we really want to get out of that. And that's why I think meditation is important when it comes to talking about aliens, because people get scared. So
Yeah,
so yeah,
absolutely.
let's just do a quick little, what do you think, 10 minutes?
Sure.
So 10 minutes just to get centered, just to come back into our own being, to let go of the anxiety of visitors from beyond, and or even just the excitement of it. Let's just come back into our own body and our own feet on the floor. Let me start with a little bell. So we'll take a couple of nice deep breaths. What we want to do is be more aware of our immediate environment. Just come right here, right now, into this present moment, putting all thoughts to the side as best we can. So we'll follow a breath. Let's take one breath right now from the beginning and feel it filling our lungs all the way to the top. Feel that feeling of being full and then relaxing it, letting it just release. And as you're releasing your breath, just release all the concerns, maybe fears or anxieties. We're just going to let everything go and just come right into the moment. This moment, and then this moment. Feel your feet on the floor. And feel your breath beginning to just come and go naturally. This is the space where if some higher consciousness wants to communicate, they're looking for this place of quietude, just silent, open, receptive mind. Following our breath, being present. So let's just take a couple of very quiet minutes. I won't talk, and we'll just aim our thoughts and our heart to a higher consciousness as we breathe. Now we want to feel open, receptive, almost like a prayer, but no words, just in your way of holding yourself. You're just wanting to find that peace right here in the moment. Breathing in, breathing out. Receptive, curious, hopeful, without going into the stories about all that. Those are the basic energy feeling tones that we want to hold as we breathe. And we're not really wanting to offer ourselves up on a platter. We still want to just maintain our grounded sense of being. This isn't a way of handing ourselves over to some other, extraterrestrial consciousness. This is just us being who we are, feet on the ground, centered. When you're centered, you have a sense of stability. And from that place, it's just an invitation. There's no big reaching or pleading or wishing. It's just here we are with quiet minds, open to higher consciousness. Every time you notice your mind has wandered off, the noticing of it is a big part of the meditative process. Noticing it and then returning to watching your breath. The quiet mind is like a blank slate. And we can just offer it up to anyone who wants to share some greater wisdom with us. The communication is not always, or even very often for me, in the form of words, sentences. It comes in pockets of understanding. If you receive anything, most of the time, my meditations are just quiet. Breathing in, breathing out. Releasing any fear, any anxiety, just let it go. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Doro. Until next time.
Bye-bye.